This is Larry Donahue with Law for Small Business, and you are thinking about maybe purchasing an anonymous LLC setup from us. And if you're looking at our product page, maybe you're getting a little confused because it asks a lot of questions that sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of our form to explain what we're doing here. And what I'm going to assume is you're considering a parent-child setup. What that means is you're going to have a parent holding company that owns a child operating company. The way our forms work, they ask you the same information no matter which company it is, and it could be confusing. But that's okay. What I want you to understand first is this isn't just being buried into a computer and garbage in, garbage out. You're going to be working with one of our paralegals, and our job is to get it right for you. So what I'd like you to do is do your best and get the information in there that you can, and if it doesn't make sense, our paralegals are probably going to call you or email you and ask you questions. If you don't understand something or have questions, put it in the notes. The next page, after you hit submit, it will go to, you can do a checkout. When you go to the checkout page, there's a note section. Please put in notes, call me, I didn't understand this, and we will work it out because our job here is to get this right for you. So with all of that said, let me go through the form quickly. The first issue is the name. We do need a name. And my recommendation is if you're talking about the operating company child, you want a name that's your market name. What are you going to go to business or advertise with? What's your brand name? That's the name it should be at the child level. At the parent level, you're not advertising the parent at all. It's not doing business. It's only a holding company. So the name here isn't important from a branding perspective, but it is important from a making sure people can figure out who you are perspective. So I don't recommend your name, obviously. People will use things like maybe they're investing in property. So they use the address of the property and call it holdings, like 123 Main Street Holdings is a great name, or JBH for the reverse of some initials, Dreams LLC. It's high level, doesn't have to be identifying. I will recommend that you don't use the same names for both companies because that can be confusing for you down the road. When you're entering into a contract, which company are you referring to? That could get you into trouble legally if you're not very careful. So I'd recommend two different names for those companies. Further down in the form, we're going to ask you what the business purpose is. It only needs to be a couple of words. Property investing, property management, online sales, retail sales, consulting services, super high level. And we're going to add to that and any other lawful purpose in our documents. So 2 or 3 words. Further down, we do need a physical mailing address, and you have some options here. You could use our virtual mailbox, and today we only have New Mexico. So if you're in Florida and you're going to do a Delaware, Wyoming company, we can only give you a New Mexico virtual mailbox. And if that's okay for you and your business, great. If it's not okay, then you don't want to choose us as a virtual mailbox. You want to say you have your own address, and you can either give it to us now or you can give it to us later. And continue on with the form. Now let me tell you that you only need one virtual mailbox for your parent-child setup. So if you've already ordered, let's say the parent or the child, and selected a virtual mailbox, you do not need to do it a second time. And conversely, if you've already ordered and did not select the virtual mailbox, now is the time to do so if you want a virtual mailbox from us. And let me tell you, with our virtual mailbox service, we get a lot of clients and they ultimately want to do something maybe more convenient or more local, but they're in a hurry to set up an LLC and set this all up. So you can order the virtual mailbox from us and use that as a temporary setup until you're ready to put something more permanent in place. And then you can cancel with us. So our virtual mailbox service is month to month. You can cancel at any time. I do want to warn you though, when you do cancel our mailbox service for either or both companies, you are going to need to update the address at the states where your companies are located. and there's always a small fee with that. Each state has their own small fees, usually $25 to $50 for the state fee. And if you want us to do that, we have a flat rate fee to do that as well. So as you go further down on the form, this information is confidential. You're communicating with us, the lawyers in the law firm. So don't get nervous about putting this information down on the form. And by the way, we're not going to put anything out there until you approve it, because that's part of our process. But the members are the owners. So for the parent-child, the child owner is the parent. And so in the child form, put down the name that you want to call the parent. And if you're not sure what the name is, just say name of parent company, check with me, and make that the name, and we know we'll check with you. And vice versa at the top level, if you're talking about the parent, the owners or owner is you and or your partners. So you need to put that information down. Why are we asking for it? Because we're going to put that information in the operating agreement and documents that we have to send you to prove ownership. We're not going to release that to the state. That would totally undo the anonymity. But we do need it for the documents that we set up for you and give to you so you can prove ownership with banks and so on. If you want a manager-managed company, and let's talk about that briefly. Back to child and parent. The child, I recommend member managed. So the child is managed by its only member, that being the holding company at the top. So specify member managed down here, unless you have something interesting you want to do, and then call us up and we'll talk you through it. But child should be member managed. The parent, it's up to you. Most people pick member managed, but if you want to have a manager managed company, then select manager managed. And then we need to know who the managers are, or the initial managers, and we'll put that in the document as well. So what's a manager? A manager is somebody who has day-to-day control of the company. They can't override the members, but it's a way for the members or owners to be able to give duties to somebody to help run the company. Duties would include getting into debt, getting bank accounts, merchant accounts, credit cards. Maybe you're one of 3 partners, and one of those partners is going to be the day-to-day person with the company, and the other 2 are going to be more silent. Yeah, it might make sense to be a manager-managed company then, so we can give some additional powers to the manager to get stuff done without calling votes all the time when you want to do something significant like borrow money. We go further down on the form, you get 2 options. If you're in a hurry, you should consider rushing. Here's what we do with those fees. The rush fee that you pay for includes, we take your order and move it to the top, number 1. We also change some of our processes where we'll send out emails for documents for you to fill out or questionnaires to fill out. We'll call you if we don't hear from you. And then if there are rush fees, we will pay those as well. We don't always have rush fees with all the states, but sometimes we do. Where I'll give you an example, New Mexico. They do not have a rush fee anymore, unless we have to send in the paper form because we can't do it online because there's some issue with the company formation. So rush handles all of that. There's some documents if you're interested. There's an FEIN, and I'll tell you, you can get the FEIN for free by going to irs.gov if you do it yourself. Don't do it until we have the companies formed. But if you want to do it yourself, by all means. A lot of people want us to do it, and we charge $50 for that. So that's an option for you. We also get a lot of questions. Do you need the certificate of incumbency? There's 2 options there. One is a very inexpensive option. It's just a template for you to use on behalf of either company as you want. The other one, though, there's a more expensive one, and that's where it's on our letterhead as a law firm and it's notarized. Do you need it? Legally, no. There's legally no reason whatsoever to purchase either one of those certificate of incumbencies. However, we found that it helps sometimes. Clients say that there's certain banks or merchant account providers or vendors that it's been easier to set things up with those vendors with the certificate of incumbency. The next question I get is, can you come back and buy it later? Yes, except it's it's a little wonky because the certificate of incumbency says who owns the company when it was formed. So if you come back to us later, a week, a month, 3 months later, well, it's not really able, to say who owns the company now. It's just who owned the company when we formed it. So we can still do it, but it's going to look a little odd, especially because the notary will have today's date on it when you asked for it, not when you ordered it. And so some people might key in on that. So you got to think about that. There's a help to the right. If you click on the little question mark, you're going to see a little help feature appear on the right-hand side of our product page. That will have detailed help. If that's not enough for you, we also have a knowledge base. You can scroll to the bottom of the page and there's a link to our knowledge base. And then finally, you can call us or email us and we'll do our best to answer your questions. Thank you for considering us, and we look forward to doing business with you. Thank you.